So, do you care about online privacy?
I do. I think it's very important, and I feel like it has affected a lot of people's lives.
Yeah, I think online privacy is a good thing as well. I think the younger generation, the generation now, they don't take care of it.
People need to be aware of not only their information, and how it's given out to companies and stuff, but also just posting the right stuff.
It's almost like every website you go to can get information off of you.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just like, I guess as teenagers you think there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I think online I'd only be willing to share as much as I'd share to a random stranger.
While it's obviously something a lot of people care about, experts say young people are pretty exposed online. They say by the time someone turns 13, around 72 million pieces of information have already been collected about them online. It could be anything from tiny bits of information from apps your parents used before you were born, to technology used in schools, to your own search history. And all of this stuff adds up to build a picture of who you are.
If I'm posting or sharing stuff about me, I usually do it on more of a private account with only a few friends, but even then it's still on the internet, it's still part of my digital footprint.
I think as a society we don't quite understand how forever it is.
It's very important, but I think nowadays everything's most likely probably already up there. A lot of stuff about you is already going to be there and you can't take it off, so it is for a lot of times what it is.
So why does privacy matter? And what's being done to protect us and our information?
I guess it's a little bit like saying, who should know everything about me? Because
this is Tama Lever, a professor of internet studies at Curtin University.
if you're carrying a phone or a tablet or something when you walk around, it sort of tells the story of where you are at that moment in time. It says, oh, I've walked to the shops with this phone, or I've gone to school, or I've gone to see a movie. All of that information feels very trivial, but it actually adds up to quite a big and complicated story of who we are and what we do. And I guess what needs to be decided when you think about privacy is how many people do you want to know that story, but also what do we think they might do with that story?
Tama says that collecting digital footprints has become big business, and companies use that information for all sorts of things, like their own market research, creating targeted ads, or influencing our opinions.
Sometimes we want to share that information. We might think it's very valuable for someone to be able to contact us or find us, but also we should have some control over who can do that. I don't particularly want a gambling company, for example, to know everything about me and know exactly the right time to send me an email when I'm at my lowest and go, oh, this is the time when you might consider making a risky move online and parting with money.
There's also the risk of our information falling into criminal hands. Tama says our privacy laws have needed an upgrade for a while, particularly when it comes to protecting young people.
It's really hard as an internet user to really get to the bottom of what's happening with your personal information. And that's why we think, and the government thinks, that we need special protections in place, particularly for kids when they go online.
This is Carly Kind, the Australian Privacy Commissioner, or in her words, the Privacy Police. She's working to develop something called the Children's Online Privacy Code, which is a set of rules online platforms will have to follow.
It's only been about the last 10 or 15 years that kids have been such regular users of technology. This is the first generation of children that have grown up completely online from birth. That's why one of the protections the code proposes is that every company collecting your personal information has to think about the children's best interests.
The code is still in the draft stage, and at the moment there are 14 rules, including things like the right to delete, which will mean platforms will have to delete your information if you ask them to.
Would you like to be able to delete data?
I think so, especially if data that you don't want people to know. You might have made a mistake of giving access of your data to applications before, and if you're not happy with it one day, change your mind. Being able to delete that, making sure no one else has access to that, I think that's really important.
Platforms will also have to let you know when your location can be seen by others. And you know those long terms and conditions? Well, the government wants them to be simpler, so you actually know what you are agreeing to. And they want to stop platforms from being sneaky and hiding buttons that give you a choice to say no.
You know how when you open a website and the cookies thing comes up? Does anyone ever read
The information. You read the information.
Yeah, when I'm signing up to apps, I read the information. But yeah,
I just reject
Yeah, I
them.
just reject all the cookies. I always reject cookies. Yeah, I never really looked into what they actually meant, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like those terms and conditions take a lot of advantage of children because, like, little children, like, ain't no way they're going to read all those words. I don't think they can be bothered. They're just going to, like, press accept and it could say anything.
Before the official code is released, the government's been asking young Aussies to give feedback and ideas on the proposed rules.
One of the key ones is that children and young people have told us that the apps and websites they use should really only collect the information they truly need and nothing extra. 9 in 10 kids, 90% of primary school students, and also 2/3 of young people said that they like this new rule that we're proposing that would stop online services from tricking or confusing or pressuring them to give their permission to the collection of personal information. And 3/4 of children and young people said that they really want the ability to get their personal information permanently deleted.
This code will become law in December this year, and when it does, it will be the biggest changes to Australia's privacy laws since the internet became a thing. And many are hoping it will help young people have more control over their stories and digital footprints.
There's always going to be loopholes and workarounds, but I think more the fact that it creates an awareness around the issues and it gives more parents a reason to actually educate.
Yeah, it's really good because it's going to protect their image as well. As a young person, they might not know like what's happening behind the scenes.
I think it's good because I don't think, like, as much as it is like our own responsibility to like handle our own data, it is also as much like the big companies, they shouldn't be taking it anyway. So I think it's good that you're not putting entirely everything onto us.